Yeah.
And what type of I mean, when you were facing that financial adversity, did you have above and beyond that when you were able to collect that money
Yeah.
and you were able to deposit and your business all of a sudden started kind of almost without you knowing it.
Yeah.
When
Said the accidental CEO. I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. When you really started honing in on your new vision, on your new dream, did you face any adversity from people saying, "You're a teacher. You help teachers. Like, what are you
Yes.
thinking?"
Oh my gosh. And people especially, and I have to say, God bless them, the people that I taught with. First of all, when I was talking about moving to New Mexico, because frankly, I just needed better weather than we were having in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
I also felt like I had grown as much as I was going to grow in the classroom. I just sort of felt like a little bit constricted, like the stage had gotten a little small for me, and I didn't know where I was going. I mean, we got in in a truck with, 15-foot U-Haul with whatever would fit in the back, left the rest there, gave it away or sold it or whatever we did, and sort of looked at each other, didn't have a job, didn't have a plan, didn't have a lot of money in the bank, and just said, let's just do it. And we got to Albuquerque. It was interesting. We got here on the first anniversary on our first anniversary. So, can you hear that? Is that going to be a problem?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Go on.
So we arrive in Albuquerque on our first anniversary, and we get to this empty apartment, and when we go in there, my husband looks at me and he says, "Oh my God, what are we doing here?" And I said, "You know what? We've got two options, Jerry." I said, "We can succeed or we can succeed. Pick one. Pick one. We either make it here or we make it. Those are your two options." I didn't have a clue what I was going to do. I wasn't even thinking about going back into teaching. In fact, I was so burned out from the work that I had done and some of the people that I had worked with at the administrative level in Pittsburgh that I really didn't care if I ever walked into a classroom again. And so I thought, we'll get what we need, we'll create what we don't have and make this happen. I've been a waitress, I've been a barmaid, I've been a chambermaid. I know how to work. I know how to earn a living, and we're not going to go hungry. And so I had this job opportunity, and it didn't pay what I was hoping. In fact, when they offered me $12,000 a year, I thought it was only for like 2 days a week. But no, it was a full-time job. But it gave me an opportunity to grow in the direction that I wanted to grow. And that was really important to me. The other thing that I did when I started realizing I need to make more than 25 copies of this book at a time, and I started investigating what typesetters cost, and I started investigating what larger print runs, like 100 copies or 500 copies would cost. Mm-hmm. And I also started doing these mailings to different people, around the state to let them know that, hey, this book is here. And I have to tell you, I was having dinner, I was at a conference, and I was sitting next to a guy, and he was in marketing. Now, I have zero marketing background when I start this. So I take, back in the days before desktop publishing, we had these like rub-on letters and, and you would make your own thing that you would then take to, Kinko's or wherever to have copies made. So I had this, different fonts on, black ink, on dark green paper, and there were so many different fonts. When I showed it to this marketing guy, he said, "This looks like a ransom note." Just like like all these cutout letters from magazines. He said, "This is terrible." He said, "This will never work." And I had gone to the library and gotten a list of about, I don't know, maybe 1,000, 1,500 colleges, and just typed up a bunch of labels that said director of, curriculum or director of instruction for the elementary ed department or for whatever, the education department of the college, and mailed these out. And
you actually mailed the ransom letters out before this gentleman in marketing seen them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This was, I didn't even know, but,
I understand.
It's like it says, and it started out with a tagline that I've used ever since, because this book was for beginning teachers, and it said, "At the start of your career or the end of your rope." And he did like that, but he thought this thing was hideous. It'll never work. Now, I had done 2 years. I had mailed these out. And I, was sitting there just on the verge of tears. And I said, well, that explains it. And he said, what? He says, well, that's why only 13% of the people I sent it to ordered books. And the guy literally dropped his silverware. I mean, we're having dinner and he dropped his silverware in his plate. And I said, I know. I mean, and talk about feeling like a terrible failure. And he said, 3% is almost miraculous.
Yes.
So, there really is something to be said for knowing your market. I went to the bank. We had a bank here. And I said, look, I own, I have very little equity in my house. I don't own anything. I'm making $12,000 a year. My husband's not making a lot doing construction work. I've got nothing to offer you, but I need some money because I've got to get this business off the ground. And I showed them the books that I had written, and I showed them the ransom notes, and I showed them what I was doing, and I went in with my resume, and I said, this is all I can offer you is me. And I walked out of there with a check for $15,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that
is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I was willing to take out a second on my house if I had to. And when that bank collapsed, as it did, and the feds said, okay, you owe us $13,000. And it's like, well, I'll just keep making my payments. No. I had to go out and get a second on my house. It's like you do what you have to do. But it's like, here's where I'm headed. And how do I get there? It's like, oh, crap, another hurdle. Okay, we'll do it. Mm-hmm. But I walked out. Maybe that's why the bank folded, but they were writing checks to people like me. But I made good on it. And I made good on it. But I went in and it's like, I've got nothing to offer you but me. And my vision, my integrity. And can you help me get this business off the ground? And they did.